pull out my Google Photos, and guess what I had at the top left suggested spotlights for you? It had a picture of my cat that I took in 2014 in October. It wasn't one of those a year ago things. It was listening to me talk about my cat, and it knew to find the picture of me and my cat when I was at the vet with it, having it put down. Motherfuckers are listening. And you know what? Oh, well. It served me.
You know what? Welcome to another episode of Close of the Bar.
What's
it's
up,
Happy
man?
Easter.
Happy Easter.
Spring is in the. It's technically a new year for some people across the world.
Is it Lunar New Year?
Yeah, remember Asia, things like that. Whatever. Spring forward, and you're right. Everybody is listening, but you know what? Here we go. If you're already doing everything right, what's wrong?
Oh, that's the argument for everybody.
What do you have to fear, right?
If you're not doing anything wrong, like, what should you be worried about?
And it's not like these guys are really trying to take us down. They just want us to spend more. Especially now that we got all this free money. The Biden bucks coming our way.
Oh,
yeah.
dude.
Propping up the stock market and everything with these. So let me ask you this.
Because
it's also tax season, too.
It got extended, by the way.
So, right. I needed that. So the money that we received through stimulus is all through the taxpayers' money, right?
No. Because we don't. I actually looked at these statistics, and I don't know the exact numbers, but like in tax receipts, like what we brought in last year in taxes was something like 3.69. Don't quote me on the digits, but something like that. And our actual budget was about 4.7 or 8 trillion dollars. So we spend more. About $1 trillion more than we took in last year, and now Biden's going to be doing this $2 trillion.
Facts.
So we're almost spending. We could this year spend twice as much as we bring in. So the question of, is it our money that we're giving back? No, we're printing it out of thin air to give to ourselves, basically. So that's more close to the truth.
So inflation is about to be really real.
I think it's already real. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were talking about trying to buy a mountain bike. And they said, I can't find one on Craigslist, or they're all overpriced. But I'm waiting until things get back to normal, and then I can get a mountain bike at
That's funny
the
you
price
said
that I want.
Because I was talking to one of my coworkers about, he's a bicyclist too, he does like triathlons and things like that. And he said it's hard to get parts and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, everyone says, because COVID. But I think it's just these are like real, tangible goods that have to be made that you can't print. And they're just going to cost more because people have more money.
Wasn't that ship that got caught in the Suez Canal that caused price to go up?
No, I mean, maybe a little bit, but I think that was just the only interesting thing that happened last week. Yeah. And that's why it was so covered. Like, this is affecting the markets. Yeah, the markets made a new all-time high. So we got over 400 on the SPY.
All that's fascinating. Like, so more close to home, apparently the storm that hit Texas affected Miller Coors, and I can't get any kegs right now from Miller Coors. On top of the fact that one of my distributors that distributes that got hacked last week. So we have
hacked.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
I'm always skeptical of like people getting hacked.
I am too, but this is also the second distributor that got hacked apparently over the last month and a half, where I couldn't get product. So it's been interesting.
What do you get from hacking a beer company?
I don't know, but
their secret recipe.
Speaking of that, let's talk. So all right, we're in 2021. 100 years ago, we're coming out of a Great Depression.
Yeah, no.
Going into it. So,
not yet. We had the beginning of what was known as the Roaring Twenties, which was a period following a war, following a pandemic, lots of spending.
So history, I would say history repeats, maybe rhymes.
Definitely with a pandemic. We didn't have a war, thankfully, but the 20s were incredibly prosperous, so much so that it culminated in the 1929 crash. So basically the decade of incredible prosperity and fun and
then
jazz.
We went into the World War II after that?
And then the Depression that followed in the 30s set up the next decade that set us up into a war. So if history does repeat, this is going to be a fantastic decade that we'll pay for later.
So I want to bring that up because, I have my own personal theories that we are going to get into the next consolidation of debt, which is usually, done with a war. And I was talking to an older gentleman, and I love those guys because they're really good on histories and teacher, coach, and all that stuff. And he's like, look, man, the next war ain't going to be like the last two wars.
Oh, no,
with
no.
nukes and all that stuff. And then we're also kind of what he brought up in a bit of a Cold War, Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
And it's saying all that. I thought that was kind of interesting because, yeah, we are, with all the stuff that's going on politically in the world, or politically just here in the United States. And then you have China and Russia. There's like this weird kind of hacking Cold War going on. I don't know if that's the right term, but, and that's what it made me think of when you said the hacking. There's all this stuff that's going on behind the scenes that we're just totally oblivious to, or don't really see as a threat, but honestly could be a huge threat to us. And just kind of, trying to predict where this economy is going to go, if there's going to be a big crash, what's it going to be like, if there's a next war to follow that, what's that going to be like, is, definitely going to be way different than what we've done in the past, something that obviously we haven't seen before, because it ain't going to be like Afghan and all that other stuff where we just dominate and we drop our bombs and show off how powerful we are, and, bombs over Baghdad is playing in the background, like we're playing with the big boys now, China and Russia. And
Well, they have interests that we may or may not have interest in. Like I was watching something just today. I'll plug this Caspian report on YouTube. Like I don't watch CNN. I don't watch the cable because, first of all, they're going to have BS, and second of all, it's going to have commercials. But I can sit down and watch one of his videos where he goes through like the history of regional areas and conflicts, and really like some of the strategic importance and like what the reality of the future is. And he was talking about Taiwan. Mm-hmm. And China wants Taiwan. Technically, Taiwan is China. Technically, but we give them weapons. We kind of acknowledge them diplomatically, but China still sees Taiwan as theirs. Taiwan is a mountain sticking out of the Pacific Ocean, so it's easier to defend than anything else. The question is, will we help Taiwan remain its independence? Because I think in 2000, I don't know when exactly it was, but a few years ago, they elected a government that was very pro-independence, which, of course, the United States supports. But China, of course, doesn't see it that way. So what they've done, to your point about asymmetric warfare, they have stepped up their flight patrols, like their combat patrols, around the island, forcing Taiwan to scramble fighters. I think they had to scramble like 3,000 sorties in like the last year or something like that. Maybe that's a bit much, but basically there's an asymmetry of fighter jets. Like Taiwan has 400 and China has like thousands.
Bunch, yeah.
And so you're having to, I think they spent something like close to $1 billion, like $900 million in fuel. Taiwan did, just to do these defensive, like, hey, let's fly around, see what you guys are doing. And so that drains Taiwan, a smaller country, of money. And so if China were just doing amphibious assault, it would be very, very difficult, and plus the international community would be like but they can do this slow, edging away at them, and that could be. And the question is, will America, or whatever current administration we have, Biden or whoever comes next, will we stand up for them? We may not, because we could see it as hey, it's not really our interest, and there's an argument for that.
Interesting. Interesting.
Because who are we going to be to stand up to China? Like if we stand up to them, people are always saying like, "Oh, China owns all of our, bonds or debt," mm-hmm. And it is a major strategic weakness for sure. If they were to call us on that, so
do you think America is becoming more and more a house of cards?
Well, energy independence, and it's less relevant today as we do this because we basically dropped gas prices so low that shale in America became unprofitable. But oil is creeping back up, and so shale will be profitable again.
The gas prices at the pump. Right.
And so we don't really have as much of a vested interest in, like, say, the Middle East as we used to. It all kind of, in my opinion, it makes the Iraq and Afghanistan wars just completely obsolete. Like, we didn't need to be there. We knew we didn't need to be there. Well, we didn't know at the time about what we had under American soil, and so we thought that we had to be there, fighting for the Saudis. We don't. But who does need to fight for the Saudis now is China, Japan, and every other country, because they need oil. and they don't have it, especially Japan.
Mm.
Japan's going to be in a big trouble because they have to, go all the way around halfway around the world to the Middle East, or they have to get it from Russia to get their oil. And so their need for strategic control of their supply routes is going to be way more important than us because we don't need to.
Damn.
So that's what's kind of going to shape probably the next 100 years. If there is a flashpoint, I don't know what's going to be, but we may not be the start of it, but there's no question we'll get dragged into it.
Sure. I mean,
Absolutely.
We are America, and
well, we'll have to pick a side, basically.
Yeah.
We'll have to pick a side one way or another, because like one of these regional, that's the same thing that World War I happened. Basically, you had these two countries. What was it? I'm such a history buff. It was the Archduke of Austria. He was in Bosnia.
that's with the assassination, right?
Yeah, he got assassinated. It's like two relatively small countries, but they had these alliances with these bigger countries, and so then these alliances, and so it all just kind of like formed together, and suddenly you have 18, 19-year-olds fighting each other's 18, 19-year-olds for some stupid reason, and really changing the face of the planet.
Damn. And that's, shit. We'll see what happens, man.
On a positive note, to bring things back up, I got my YouTube channel back, which this thing should be on again.
Why we missed last month of closing the bar, right?
We can use that as an excuse.
Yeah, combination of me working and...
Thanks to my benevolent big tech overlords, I have my platform back. I don't know what that was.
You've done a great job on, man. Definitely watched you grow and excel and blossom, But I knew you had it in you. You just needed to get the ball rolling. And
it's yeah. I definitely like it. I like having the thing. I like helping people. I like growing a community of people that I can help. And
I think my favorite's your rants in the car.
I need more of those. You told me you like those.
It just adds things. You got a few different things. You got this close of the bar. You got where you're talking about certain stocks and current events, and then you got this like random rant thing too. And it just brings out the character of you, and who you are, and then just shows more personality and brings more to the channel. So.
Well, thank you.
And
Yeah.
it's
Appreciate
so
the feedback.
you. It's like that's if
you know me,
anybody
you know
hangs
me.
out with Wes, get Wes on a rant, you're going to be entertained for a second.
I was going back through some pictures. I was looking for some pictures today, and I saw pictures of you and some other people back in the office that we used to have.
Yeah.
I'll send them to you, man, because you never think I wish I'd taken fewer pictures. You know what I mean? And it's cool to look back on that.
Come a long way, man.
Yeah, I miss having an office. I want an office, man. I know I've mentioned that before, but but now everyone's working remotely. There's no point.
Yeah,
it's like a novelty now.
We're in this new, I keep referring to stimulus era. And man, the whole COVID has changed everything. People are working more from home. Zoom has done its thing. I actually got one of the higher up executive managers sits in my bar.
Oh, Zoom? Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Good guy. Everything's changed, man. I'm in the restaurant business, and with this free money coming out, and the fact that you can get unemployment and make more money unemployed than you can working, it has affected. Let's just go down.
Yeah, you were talking about this
I'm
earlier.
having a hard time finding servers. I thought it was convenient that the week the stimulus checks rolled out a couple weeks ago, I lost 2 servers. I've got ads out there. I've got, looking for servers, and I haven't got a single reply. We've been debating internally about raising our minimum for the cooks and all that stuff to $15 an hour. That's creeping behind us. This is $15 an hour minimum
before
wage.
it gets made
right
legally mandated. Yeah,
and just this whole idea of trying to scale up. Inflation. I know right now I got to sit down with my bosses and talk about, our food prices and adding $1 or $2 because we're spending more on food now, but we haven't adjusted our prices. And
what's the word for that? What's the word for that when you have to raise prices on stuff and wages? It's what's the word? Asian, what? Rumination.
I don't know what it is, Wes. What is
inflation?
No,
that doesn't exist. You're right. There's no
Doesn't
inflation.
exist.
No inflation.
No, nobody knows what that is, bro. That's oblivious, man.
Well, the Fed doesn't think it exists.
Well, and what's crazy, right? You know, I sit at a bar, and I say I sit at a bar. I'm at a bar, working, and you know, you don't talk about politics and you don't talk about religion.
You don't.
We don't. I don't. But I've actually had to
'Cause you're good like that.
recently here, you know, stop a couple conversations and be like, guys, this is the rule.
Hold on. Show me your politics face.
It's a smile.
See, right there. It's just like you just laugh and you're like, oh, it's funny.
You gotta throw a wink in there.
You
know,
got opinions. I hear you. It's funny.
I literally,
I'm gonna go do this now.
I'm like behind the bar, helping my bartender stock, and I hear this like shuffle between a couple guys, and they're arguing because the Atlanta Braves lost the All-Star game, right?
Well, it wasn't the Braves. It was just Major League Baseball decided they weren't going to have the All-Star game and the draft in
So, of
Georgia.
course, that kicked off this whole political thing at my bar.
It's been a thing.
And it just dove in, and I literally was like, well, guys, what y'all think of the game?
Yeah.
And it just
like
this one guy looks at me and goes, thank you. Just like, let's talk about something other than politics and all that stuff. And it just people get a little overworked. But, going back to the whole inflation thing, what's frustrating is our answer is to react.
Yeah. The only way you can.
Nobody talks about preventing us getting to that point where
What do you mean?
Well, why do we need to have inflation? What causes inflation?
Giving people $1,400 and for
and where did that money come from? We just talked about it earlier, right? We're
money
printing, right? So why is that never why aren't we attacking that issue? Why aren't we going to the Fed?
We just didn't have that debate. We were in a period of crisis last year.
But even before, going back to the banks in 2008, like why are we not holding the accountable these financial institutions accountable and not letting us get into the situation where we have to pump money and then we talk about let's raise cost of everything, and instead of being like how about we attack it the other way and have great management skills and financial skills from these guys that we're supposed to look up to, the experts, to prevent us from this.
I was having a conversation,
and then I'm a conspiracist.
Well, let me answer that with one of my tangents. And I'll bring it right back.
Bring it back. Come on, Wes.
I was talking. Okay, cheers
to the West tangents.
I was talking to somebody about.
You know what they say about somebody who doesn't drink after a cheers?
You being disrespectful, all right?
Rant on, Wes.
Well, so I was having a conversation with somebody, and it was an older person that's not dating, and they asked me about, why is it guys don't respond back to text messages and stuff like that, and I was like, well, they're just not interested and stuff like that if they're not. And it was an older woman, and she said to me, why would they do that? I was like, well, it's easier. I mean, what do you want to do? Like, here's your exit interview of the date. Like, here's what you did wrong. Here's what you can work on. Here's some bullet. No, nobody does that. They just don't respond. And so, going back to your thing about why did we do this in 2008? Why? Well, frankly, we started back in 2001 in that economic downturn. Mm-hmm. We lowered interest rates, which is not printing money, but it's making money more available. But then in 2008, we actually started printing, which doesn't mean the printers.
Easing, right?
Exactly. We have words for it because we don't actually run money printers. We kind of do,
just ones and zeros.
But now we're finally 20 years later giving money directly to people instead of banks. So is that a step up? I mean, obviously most people are getting the benefit of it now because it didn't really trickle down.
Are they though?
Well, as I said, that week that the stimulus checks went out, like I happened to need to get an Uber, and it was like $50 to go anywhere. And I asked the Uber driver when I finally got one, I said, what's going on? She said, well, she read forums and Facebook groups and stuff like that, and the consensus was people got their check that week. They didn't need extra money. So they just didn't drive. And the people that were actually out there working, they made a little bit extra. So everybody benefited except for people that needed Uber, I guess.
Damn, man.
It's little things like that. But, maybe that's the desired effect. Maybe that is like people got the money, they spent it, or they took a little bit of time off, or they stopped working, and now you're having to offer people a higher, pay to get them to work again. You're having to raise your prices to account for that as a business. That's just how it goes up. I think it's just going to go up a lot faster than people were used to over the last several years. I mean, inflation rises at 2% per year is what they target, but that's on average. Some is going to be different, and I don't think it's going to be like the hyperinflation of the late 70s, which we don't know anything about. We weren't even around. But it could be something like that. We could have really bad inflation. We could have stagflation. We're not going to have Weimar Republic. I think a lot of people, especially super, crypto bulls, are thinking that they have to buy a Bitcoin because the dollar is going to be, we're going to be carrying around wheelbarrows of dollars to buy bread. No. Maybe, but no. That's not
everybody loves that Bitcoin, man. And now that
Everybody
it's
loves
gone
the
up,
Bitcoin.
it's just like everybody's piling in.
People are getting kind of bored, honestly, now. We'll see, though. It could still go up. Who knows? That's the beauty
I
of
had a
it.
buddy call me a couple weeks ago. My best friend. He was up like 14 grand, lost it all and some.
Because he was leveraged.
And he
talk
just,
about that.
no understanding of risk management.
That's not unique to Bitcoin people. It can happen to really smart people. Did you hear about the blow up of Archegos? It was a private.
I'll be honest with you, dude. I saw that in a headline, and I haven't really been doing my due diligence for the last 2 months because of the stimulus era. I've been short staffed and I've had to pick up the slack.
I feel you. Well, I'll fill you in on
Okay.
it. So, again, just like the Suez Canal thing, this hedge fund blow up, really not much is happening in the world. So these little events kind of float to the top because we don't have Trump tweeting anymore, so there's nothing else to talk about. His voice is banned from Facebook.
Are you serious?
You can't even post his voice, or they'll take it off Facebook.
I did see a blurb about him possibly starting a new social media type situation.
A
So,
little too late for that. Sorry.
First Amendment
They're
type
not
thing.
gonna. They, as in Silicon Valley, are not going to allow that. But anyway, thank you, overlords. Thank you for giving my platform back. fuck Trump. Fuck Trump. What am I saying?
YouTube, you the man. Please, YouTube.
So, Bill Wang, I may be pronouncing his name wrong. He was like banned from owning a hedge fund because he did some insider trading back in a few years ago. So he started his own family office, and family office is basically just you managing your own money. He was worth about $10 billion. And he was able to get leverage. We know what leverage is. It lets you make faster returns. And he was able over the last couple of years to earn 50, 60% returns. When you're making that kind of money, you're taking some leverage. Kind of like your friend in Bitcoin or like anyone's friend that made a bunch of money really quickly but then blew up. He was doing it through these things called total return swaps. Now, what that means is it's a contract that you enter into with a bank where they buy the shares and you just collect the difference. In other words, you don't own the shares. Like say the stock goes up 20%. Well, you don't actually have to own the shares. You just collect that 20%. The bank actually owns the shares.
Oh, so it's like not an option, but it's
not an option. You do this. Like
you're
you and I
you're
can't do
kinda like
this.
an option.
You and I can't do this.
Yeah.
Big banks like Credit Suisse was one.
Do a good credit get it?
Well, maybe. You have to be like a hedge fund. You have to be a
I
big
gotcha.
boy.
Yeah.
But what happened was, instead of, being limited by most people where they can only take on like 2-to-1 leverage in stocks, like you can only buy, 2-to-1 Tesla, you and I. Well, they can do these total return swaps. And this guy was leveraged anywhere from 6, 8, 10 times with some of these banks. And he got into something, if you look at Viacom, which is Viacom, CBS, and Discovery, like TV networks, they look like that old parabolic, like every other thing does. And then they had this, did a stock offering, which diluted the value of the shares. In other words, the shares dropped like 9%, and that was enough to margin call them. Because if you're leveraged up 9-10%, and you're 10-to-1 leverage, what was that? It's 100%.
God damn.
So here's a guy that's worth. It's basically he was worth $10 billion. It's the largest loss of personal wealth in history. He went from being a 10 billionaire to probably in debt. That's quite a reverse, and it comes from leverage. So it's like you got your friend who's an amateur who doesn't
but
know any better.
It's so funny. I saw a Facebook post where somebody was talking about, making your first million, and then I saw a comment. He's like, "That's the easy part. Keeping the million is the hard part."
Well, it depends on how you got it. I mean, if they got it through going to Vegas and playing roulette,
Yeah,
and they keep playing roulette. Well, I'm making a broad example.
Yeah, I got you.
But,
I see where you're going with this.
yeah, if they do it over the course of like 10 years with a business that's generating, they can probably keep it.
Yeah. Make it again.
But if they got it all very quickly, then that's where that comes into play. And that's what I try to reinforce to people on my Discord and things like that. Like they talk about trying to make big money on weekly options and stuff, which is not a thing anymore, by the way, because this market is very different. I want to talk about that if we can.
Yeah, my uncle used to do that with Tesla, and he doesn't do that anymore.
Everybody people got burned because it's not moving like it was. But you look at these people like DFV, Deep Fucking Value, or Roaring Kitty, the guy that was the GameStop, personality that was really driving it. He took $50,000, and at one point he was up to like I think 30 million. There's another guy on the Wall Street Bets Reddit that made millions of dollars on Tesla because he bought some in 2018. But what you have to look at is, here's a guy that started playing Tesla in 2018 at the bottom when everyone thought Tesla was going out of business. And here's this guy that started playing GameStop about a year and a half ago that are making – these people that made lots and lots of money, they didn't do it in a week. They didn't do it in a month. They did it over the course of a year plus. And so really, I think people, if they really want to be really rich in trading, you at least have to acknowledge that the people that do these crazy things that are really one-offs, that are kind of like winning the lottery, they didn't do it overnight. They did it over some time. So at least give yourself a year of a plan, and then maybe you can really make it. But the weekly options are not going to be the way to do it, especially now. So that's to your point. I think people that make that $1 million, if they make it all, in the course of like a month, yeah, they're going to have a hard time keeping it because they were doing something that they was very naughty and they got rewarded for it. But if they keep doing it, which they probably will because they weren't really taught why not to do it, they were instead taught why to do it, they're just going to blow it up. What I found very common is people just don't know when to stop. But, if you made $1 million in a month, why stop? There's not that much you can buy with $1 million, man. Not more
Inflation,
than
man.
Not much you can. You can buy more. 10 million.
You got to be a billionaire now.
I got a friend of mine that I am trying to get. I'm trying to convince them to go in and just get like an Airbnb cabin. And I sit down. I'm like, hey guys, like this is how we could do it. We could structure it and that kind of stuff. And they're sort of like, oh no, my cabin when I buy it, it's gonna have a landing strip for my plane or my helicopter landing pad. So I can't buy a cabin now until like I can afford this kind of a cabin. I'm like, okay, all right, I'm being serious about this as a bit, and you're like,
man,
because if we did these Airbnbs, we got a bunch of them.
This method is so real, dude. Like I keep.
There's nothing wrong with dreaming, but just
yeah. Well, you talk about it with me, man. Like I always, I have to really come back to that philosophy of KISS. Like we just got talking about with my house.
Tell them what it is, in case they don't know.
What's KISS? Philosophy?
Yeah.
Keep it simple, stupid.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like assume.
You're an ass of you and me.
Yeah. That's my stepfather's favorite line. But, I'd rather be too much and draw it back than not enough and try to get it out of me. So I'm okay with the fact that I shoot large and then I have to come back and take that look in the mirror and be like, all right, dude, like let's just focus on one thing,
So it works in trading so much. Like take off the indicators if you're getting confused.
Well, the best thing that's happened with this whole thing of me having to pick up the slack in my job and having to put more time in, it's made me be more aggressive in taking profit. And, I love trading the ES. So instead of like looking for that, is it going to keep going after this? I just fucking lock money in the bank. And I've done a lot better now just having that range, right? All right. Here's my entry. Here's my stop. Here's where I'm getting out.
Yeah.
I don't care what it does after that. Sometimes it goes fucking amazing. Sometimes it doesn't, and I pull my stop to break even, and I've gotten way more aggressive and get to that target. And, once price gets a certain level too, I move to break even. So I'm not taking losses anymore. Fuck that shit. Like stop worrying about all the excess, right? Just fucking stick to a strict plan. Let it get to here and be cool with that, and let it get to a certain point and move your stop to break even. Yeah, it might come back and hit your stop and then go to your. You didn't lose any money, and you made money on other trades, and that has really helped a lot. What's also helped too is having my Roth IRA account long term where I don't give a fuck. It's a little more. I can forget about it, let it roll. that's helped too. So,
So how many accounts do you have that you?
look, man, I simplify it.
Yeah.
I have my Roth IRA account.
Okay.
Where I have my long term.
Yes.
Play weeklies or higher.
Mhm.
All right. I have my S&P 500, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing that keeps me like every day I'm focusing on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
So-
I can go to work,
Right.
and I can manage that.
But you have two. Like you have the long term you don't look at, and
Mhm.
the one you're active. That is what I try to get people to do. I think that is incredibly valuable for people to have independent accounts.
Yeah.
I have ridiculous number of accounts. I don't recommend having as many as I do, but having at least two. And I think that would help out a lot of people because there's a psychological effect of like if you're logging in every day or when you have an opportunity to trade, you're going to see your P&L. You can try to ignore it,
Yeah.
but every day the market's going to give you a different price on your long-term stuff. And you could be having a shitty day,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to see that the stock you've had for 2 or 3 years is down that day, and you'll be like, meh. And that could be a horrible mistake. But if you had just like not logged into it, maybe once a month at most, maybe once a quarter is about right. Once a year to file your taxes, if that's all you need. That is actually a recipe for success because stocks go up.
They do.
If you just it doesn't. If you invested in stocks today, any stock, not any stock. If you invested in like an index fund today,
Mm-hmm.
10 years from now, there's an incredibly high probability. I don't want to say an absolute, but it's pretty close to an absolute. Close to 100%
The
chance.
probabilities are in your favor. Statistically,
you
it's
will
in
be
your
better
favor.
off.
Things are
Yes.
in your favor, right? Like,
So keep it separate. So I like what you're doing there.
and that's
What do
what
you
I've been
think?
trying to focus on is more of getting over the fear of the drawdown.
Well, it's coming, but it's not coming tomorrow, or it might. I don't know. I see what you're saying.
And I'll be honest with you, I'll probably, my goal is to sit down tonight, actually, and next week, and evaluate things because I think we're probably gonna have like one more good push.
But
This little
one
stuff.
more? Oh.
Yeah, before
Okay.
we get a good, before the October pullback, right?
October is historically a very
And we just
scary
had a nice
month.
historically February, March pullback too, right? We actually had 2 pullbacks.
You know what pull back to? Daily cadence.
Exactly. So, once you get into that and you understand that, and that's the beauty of me just only focusing on the S&P 500. You build this intimate relationship with it where you really, like we just had a breakout. I took the 2-hour breakout, and I sat and I looked at it, and I don't usually take the 2-hour breakout. Usually it's like 1 hour or 4 hour. I took the 2-hour.
Was it shooting for? This is before it hit the all-time high, right? So it was shooting for it.
It was shooting for it. And
Yeah.
I took it and I got out of preserve mode, and it actually went even higher. It's shooting for the 4-hour target that I have, and I got a spike on the 4-hour, and I was like, all right, cool. But it was one of those things where, again, it just goes back to what I was saying, like getting past the shoulda, woulda, coulda. Just be happy that you took profit and you're not taking losses. Yeah, it went up a little bit more. But I got money locked in now. You know what I mean? Like now I'm going to start looking for some pullbacks. I'm going to start looking, I'm going to evaluate. But it's just getting past that emotional, what I could have had versus what I actually have.
Here's a little anecdote that I don't know where it's from. I don't even know if it's true. But asked of a successful investor why he's so successful, answer, I always sell too early.
I'm cool with that now.
Yeah.
And that's, with the stress of my job and the fact that I'm going and always moving, I need that. I need those lock-ins. I just need to see the profit. I was even thinking about, doing currencies again. And I said, you know what? Let me take the same philosophy. I'm not going to just do currencies. Fuck currencies. I'm going to focus on one currency. I'm going to pick a currency, and that's the only thing I'm going to focus on. You know what I mean? There's like 32 major pairs. Forget about it. Just pick one. Build an intimate relationship with that. Be profitable with that. Move on from there. And because I just I've learned from the S&P 500. I've built this relationship with the S&P 500. Where I know,
It's personality.
Yeah, and it's just I've gotten familiar with it. And it's cool, especially. And I say this more so with the day trading aspect. it's easier with the Roth IRA account to play the strategies and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like the long-term things, you can forget about it for a second and come back
Mm-hmm.
and be like, oh shit, all right, cool, fix, adjust, because it's on a weekly chart. You got
You
weeks and
also
months.
don't have to worry about capital gains, so that you can be very agile.
True. But back to the day trading thing, where it's so fickle. You know what I mean? You really got to be tighter on your discipline. You got to, because it's like, it's day to day, it's week to week. I just, after developing that and seeing that, I was like, all right, cool. It's find something and just build a relationship with it. A lot of people have relationships with, they study the shit out of Bitcoin. They study the shit out of Tesla. They study the shit out of Amazon, and they build these relationships and they feel like they know it and they've got it, and that's cool. That's great. That's what you should do. If you're betting every day and doing that, focus on that. And it just makes it a little bit easier. So, again, just going back and taking what I've learned from this, moving forward and adding a little extra, going with it.
Well, restaurants. I don't know restaurants. Like, I wouldn't know how to run it.
I hate that I know restaurants.
Yeah, but you know what? It's your specialty. And just like you've made a specialty out of the SPY, it has its own personality.
For sure.
And so the times of day, the days of the week.
Mm-hmm.
You also know when it makes a move, like, oh, that move was a little fast, or this move is a little slow.
Yeah.
So you kind of, because you're basically, it's the same kind of people who are going to be trading every day. Just like you have regulars come into a restaurant or something like that. You know how to deal with them. But it's, of course, a much larger scale. So, yeah, I totally agree. Like, people can specialize for sure. Then there's the opposite side of things where you try to apply, like, technical analysis to a broad set of instruments. And sometimes that can work, too.
Well, that's exactly. So what you're saying is I do that for the Roth IRA, right? It's a broad technical analysis for the long term, because it allows me to get lost into my job and then come back and be like, okay, cool, because I'm on a higher scale, and it also it keeps me from making stupid decisions where a drawdown happens, I freak out, I panic, and I sell too early, Whereas
because you're busy.
Because
I'm
busy,
watching.
I'm distracted. Whereas the S&P 500, it's just one thing to focus on. I get my alerts, and even then, it's I've scaled myself to more of a swing trader instead of a day trader because of things going on. The market closes at 5 o'clock, it opens back up at 6 o'clock. Alerts happen. I'm right in the middle of a dinner rush.
Yeah, you can't deal with it.
You can't really necessarily pull away real quick, right? So I need to allow a little leeway, and I've learned to adjust as a trader to adapt to the environment that I'm in.
Let me ask you this, because a lot of people that are, I talk to, they're working full-time jobs, and they're trying to trade. Are you able to be disciplined on, like, let's say you have a day off, and you have an opportunity to trade, sit there and look. Are you disciplined enough to, say no to any setup if it doesn't fit your rules? Because I think that really hurts a lot of traders when they're working a job and they have a break in between meetings of an hour at 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's on a Friday. And we all know that Friday is not always the best day to trade. It's a very hectic day sometimes.
It's actually my favorite day to trade.
Is it? Well,
Sunday night and Fridays.
Very well. But
because it's the most volatile.
But if you have setups, a lot of people, they wait all week. Let's just say they wait all week. They're working. And then when they go back and look at the chart for Tuesday or Thursday, they see this great setup that they missed. And so here comes Friday. They've got this hour to trade in. And they're looking, and let's just say that the market's not moving, and they stare at it, and they stare at it.
You're just talking about the infamous fear of missing out.
FOMO, yeah. But it's seeing things that aren't there. So my question is, how do you keep yourself disciplined when you have a limited amount of time?
Because I'm distracted. That's where the discipline is. I don't even know if it's discipline. It's just my breaks in the bathroom, my mornings, things like that, where I get a second to just pull my phone up and look, right? And with the 2 hour and the 4 hour, and you combine the daily, and if you do your weekly analysis too, it's
whoa.
It's like you scale down. You scale down, right?
So you're telling me that you're trading on the daily and the weekly and the 2 hour and 4 hour?
No, what I do.
And that's good for you?
No, what I do is I scale in the trap. right?
From the top down.
From the top down.
Yeah. So you're not starting from the 1 minute.
No.
Why would you not start from the 1
scale
minute? Tell me that.
You can't. You got to know the higher time frames.
Say that again?
Higher time frames rule.
Thank you.
All
A
right.
lot of people get really messed up when I see them trying. They're just stuck there looking at the damn 1 minute, and they call the 5 minute.
Any expert. It's so crazy because we knew this beforehand. But all the books that I've read and all the books I'm reading,
we were taught. Some people aren't.
I've had confirmation. Most traders deal on 3 time frames.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you what I call scaling the trap,
Mm-hmm.
right? You do your analysis and
Mm-hmm.
you scale it in. You set your alerts. You're setting the trap, right? And that's how I do it. I set in the trap and I set my alerts. Because at the end of the day, it's just probabilities. It's either going to go one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what you think. It's what the price action does. And I scale it in. And based on how I scale it in will determine the time frame which I trade from, right? Because you'll get some setups and they look good on the 4 hour and the 2 hour. And I'm like, all right, cool. But the 1 hour and the 30 minute aren't quite there yet. And there's some static. You're like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. So you scale back out. All right, well, I'm going to set my alerts to the 2 hour and the 4 hour. Every now and then you'll get some cool setups on the 1 hour and 30 minute. But sometimes you don't.
Mm-hmm.
The 1 hour and the 30 minute look ugly as fuck.
What's the lowest you'll look?
Man, with my job, dude, it's 1 hour at the most, dude.
Thank you.
I don't have
Thank
time
you.
to really, and even the 1 hour is just if it fucking looks good. The truth is I'm playing 2 and 4 hours,
Mm-hmm.
right?
But
With my time frame and everything I got
Did
going
you
on.
ever try to trade in like the lower? Remember, we used to use ticks back
Dude,
in the office.
oh my God, bro. Let me tell you something. And if I have the time, okay, I love those lower time frames.
Mhm.
Dude, when I was working at Dark Horse and Neighbors, Sunday nights, when I talk about I like Sundays and I like Fridays, those ticks, those lower time frames,
It can be
I was
fun.
crushing them, dude. But I also was a little more relaxed at those jobs where I had the opportunity where I can keep my phone right there and watch them get in and out. I don't have that opportunity right now where I can manage and micromanage and do that. And that's essentially what you're doing. You're micromanaging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to be on it. You got to be on it. The 2 hour, 4 hours allow me some room to get into a shift, to come back. An alert or a trade goes off. I can step into the bathroom, essentially is what I'm doing, and looking at my fucking phone. You know what I mean? Make a decision and roll. Essentially what it works out to. I love those lower time frames, but you have to have the time. That's when it becomes a job.
Yeah.
That's when you have to be in front of the computer and you have to be watching that shit because that's how quick that shit's rolling.
Mm-hmm.
4 hours, swing traders, all that stuff works great for people who, like you were talking about, who need to have those breaks. You know, anything less than that, you need to be a little more flexible. You need to be able to have the luxury of control of your environment where you can say, I need to chill for a minute and focus on trading for the next hour or so, or be able to set those alerts to where, you know, if those alerts go off within the next hour or so, you can pull away from your job and focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
But swing trading allows you to have a real-time job, 40-hour-week job, where you can go and disappear and tell your boss, hey, I got to go to the bathroom, look at your fucking phone, adjust your stops, adjust your alerts, all that shit. And that's just real advice to anybody out there who's a Robinhood trader that's trying to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
Because I do this every day. I mean, it's just to develop a system. And that's what I like, that I've been able to adjust to fit. But only reason I've been able to do that is because, you know, you and I have been doing this for well over a decade now.
Well, you and I, we've learned different techniques. We've seen a lot of things. We were also started off with kind of a top-down approach, so we know that there are time frames that exist other than the 1 minute. And I think a lot of new traders, they're more about let's get it quick, and it's a big detriment, I think, in a lot of ways. Hopefully, if they can stay around long enough, they go up to say a 30-minute or 1 hour, and they realize, wow, you know, this is a lot less stressful. Like I tried the penny stock day trading thing. I would find by 10 a.m. my pits were sweaty. Like it was just too much stress to be on that lower time frame. And so the 30-minute is really as low as I'll even go.
You just have to be realistic with your expectations, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people, what I'm saying is a lot of new traders, they don't know what realistic is.
Yeah.
They they see the movement on a 1 minute on a good day, and they're like, okay, this is how I'm going to make money and quit my job because I see it today. But not every day is going to be like that. Some days it's just going to go back and forth and take your money.
Yep.
And they're going to get really frustrated. But what they're doing or failing to do is see the bigger picture. And so even though when you're trading on your 1 minutes on your Sunday nights and stuff like that, when you could, I bet you already kind of had your levels drawn off, didn't you? Yeah,
Always,
I know you did.
always.
I know you did.
Yeah.
So you knew.
Scaling in the box.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's just so much as you can see from a high level. And if you go back and you look at a weekly, and let's say you look at a level like how I love my 50%,
Yeah.
and you go to when it hits that level, you set that alert, and that day you come in there, and then you go down to like the lower time frame, and you're waiting for like a setup. You got your level drawn right there. Your price kind of starts to mess around, and starts to kind of come off of it. You know what you're waiting for there.
Yeah.
And you know that.
Yeah.
And the best part about going to a higher time frame is the greater reward.
Yep.
Because if you're on let's say that you're on the 1 minute and you got your stop about right here. Well, this is a weekly level. What do you think your target's going to be? It's not going to be here. It's going to be here. Because if you scale back out,
Never go against the higher time frame too. Make that clear,
yeah.
right?
Well,
Always never bet against the higher time frame.
Yeah, exactly. I wish more people would listen to that when it comes to stocks in general. I hate to tell people not to do stuff because one day it might work, but people love buying their puts every damn day because they think the market's going to crash, and it just doesn't.
That's the doom. It's the doom.
It is. We
You know.
know that our lives are going to end, so everyone
and
assumes
their
the world
puts
is.
are hedge funds' opportunity,
Yes.
right?
But you're just better off on a daily basis assuming the stocks will go up. Unless
traditionally,
it does.
probability statistically, that's what they've
Yeah.
done.
I understand people have to go through their own process, but just listen to me. Like
Even
every
in
day,
even the best,
assume the stocks are going to go up.
even in 2008, even in 2000, all the recessions, they pull
so-
back to major higher time frame levels.
Exactly. But in those recessions, then you can buy puts because the market is going which way?
Yeah.
Down. But wait for that. Like just don't. I think a lot of people they run into the problem where they're trying to be smart.
But also,
they want to
but
be smarter.
Be
than
aggressive
everybody
too,
else.
because those puts are all going to be a very short.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
There's a
grab
very small-
the money and, like you said,
Yeah.
sell too early,
Go and take the money and run.
take the money and run, because those puts are only going to come around so often.
Yep.
That's not and it's
And
just
2020 as a year is only going to come around so often. This year is different. You know what's funny? I'm going to make a video about this. What is going on right now is I'm starting to hear more and more about iron condors. You know iron
Really?
condor?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. You know why I'm hearing so much about them? Because they're working. You know why they're working? Because the market is not
volatility.
moving. The volatility is starting to contract. So not only are people getting the benefit of theta, time decay on their options, they're also getting volatility contraction. In other words,
can't wait for that video, dude.
people need to understand this because I've talked to some people. I'm like, okay, why do you want to do this? And their answer to me is like, well, I see this stock. It's got an IV of 120%, and which is really high, by the way. Like Tesla right now is just at 70, and I don't think there's going to be that much movement because I'm looking at the charts. I'm kind of like, okay, do you know what IV rank and IV percentile are? And they're like, no. Okay, those are far more important than what you think the stock is going to do. So it behooves me as an educator to, make a clickbait video. Watch this before you take iron condors this year because people right now they're working because the market is it's just kind of trading in a little range. So if you sell on either side of it, you're doing great. Also, volatility from last year is high, but as the market does this, that volatility comes down. So the options pricing is starting to contract. So eventually what people are going to find themselves is getting in this habit of selling iron condors like every month and making a ton of money. And they're going to be like, whoa, I'm making more money selling iron condors than I'm working my job. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to put all my money into iron condors. And then that's going to be the month. It happens every few years. It really does. It really does for these option selling strategies. And I'm not going to save people that are into it, but hopefully when it happens, they'll look back and be like, "Wow, Norok made a video about this, and he was right." I was like, you have been educated. So your education is complete."
Oh my God, dude! If you understood how much, Anyway, you can lead the horse to the water, but you can't force him to drink.
I think experience is the best teacher, and I think some people are just out there in the wilderness, and they don't have anywhere to go, or they don't know where to look at. And so hopefully I can maybe put some seed in their head that they can say like, like that's what he was talking about. And then they can come back, lick their wounds, and become successful traders. That's my goal.
Hmm. You know, one of the best quotes you've ever given me, Wes.
Oh no, what is it? Is it crass and uncouth?
The stock market is the easiest way. No, it's the hardest way.
Hardest way to
easiest money possible.
Hardest way to make an easy living.
Yeah.
It is. It's because nobody's just going to give you that money. But at the same time, it's, you know, I've been talking to, you know, people are asking me like, "Are you busy this week?" I'm kind of like, "No."
Like, I feel bad, man. I've had a lot of friends hit me up. I even tried to start a little group, and I'm just, you know, I failed them miserably. You know, I got a lot of friends who are, you know, we're in this Robin Hood trade era, right? Where with stimulus money, where everybody wants to get into the market. They want to fucking trade Bitcoin. They want to trade GameStop. They want to trade the hottest new commodity. They want to trade all this stuff, and they don't know how to fucking trade. And they're doing it, and they're making money, and then then they don't. And I got a nice, good circle of friends, and unfortunately, the last couple of months, due to my stimulus era situation, I have not been able to really follow up with them the way I like, and you know, it's just frustrating. But at the same time, you know, they got to learn, they got to figure it out, and they got to do this thing on their own too. But you know, I wish everybody the best of luck, honestly, dude. I really do.
So they're coming to you wanting you to like kind of give them some guidance. Is that what you're saying?
For sure. I mean, they want, you know, ultimately at the end of the day, they want somebody to give them the answers. You know, hey, take this, buy that, sell that. You know.
You know the answer I give those people is?
Well, listen.
Buy index mutual funds.
As a manager, this is how I manage.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody under me is a manager, is a boss.
Okay.
I treat you like that, from the dishwasher up.
Give you responsibility.
No, I train you and teach you and give you everything you need to be your own boss in that situation.
Okay.
Right?
I like that. How you apply that to trading and like people who are trying to learn to trade?
You teach people how to be their own boss, because that's a great thing.
Be their own maybe hedge fund manager.
This is what I love about trading. It's just you and that. Right? Mm-hmm. You pull the trigger. You lose, it's your fault. You win, you gain. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, though, it's just you and that market.
Nobody to blame.
The market is designed to take everything from you, period. So when you step up to that line, you better make sure you're on your fucking A game. Because any weakness in you, they're going to fucking swarm on it. Mm-hmm. That's what they're looking for. That FOMO, the emotions, whatever. Right? Mm-hmm. And that has given me so much that I've been able to take moving forward into my own personal life as a manager of a bar, restaurant, is, hey guys, if I were to not show up today to work, could you guys run this place? That's how I train people. I train people to lose my job.
Train a little bit of ownership in what they do and with the whole
accountability, right? Which we lack so much in this world right now. But every single, I spent the last 2 months putting a lot of time dealing with this whole stimulus era. 2 months hard. I put a lot of hours in. And I am now starting to see the reward of that benefits, because I've literally had to put pressure on some people. You're a boss too. Mm-hmm. You're a dishwasher, server, bartender. Own it, right? And I got this, honestly, from working from a great guy, Mike Ross. Hey, what's up, buddy? Working at Raise in the City, they always trained us to be empowered at the table. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? To own that, to be able to, it's your table. You own the experience, right? So I've embraced that philosophy. Everybody's their own boss, cook, whatever. Just own it, man. That's probably the most frustrating thing that I have with employees. You're an intelligent human being. We're all intelligent human beings. It's amazing what you use your intelligence for. Mm-hmm. So when you bullshit and you do all this shit, I'm like, yo, fuck that. Don't give me excuses, because I know you're intelligent. The problem is you're using your intelligence to get out of being accountable
Mm-hmm.
versus using your intelligence to be accountable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's frustrating because I naturally gravitate. I want to be loyal. I want to, by default, I want you to think all this stuff. So when you come up with all this bullshit, I'm like, man, I'm not buying it. You know, either you get it right or I find somebody to replace you.
Like that's, I'm getting to the point where I talk to people about, you know, like I don't have people under me, or actually when I'm talking to traders and stuff like that, people say, oh, I can't do this. You remember a friend, friend we used to trade with, I'm not going to mention his name, but I go work out with him sometimes, and he was saying to me, like, man, I plateaued, like, in working out, and I can't get any stronger, it seems. And, you know, my problem is, like, you know, like, I'm only getting in the gym one day a week. I was like, okay. Like,
Well, there's the problem.
well, that's an amazing problem to have. Like, you could have lost your leg in an accident, and now your squats are really suffering from it. But your problem is you're just not getting to the gym.
Manage
That's a
your time
great.
properly.
That's a great problem. I mean, you have probably
management
the
is everything, right?
you have the easiest problem to fix.
Yeah.
You just need to go to the gym more.
Yeah.
That's why you're plateauing. Like, you're complaining to me, like, oh, I can't get any stronger because I'm only going to the gym once a week. It's like, okay, like that's solvable. Like, that's like the best problem to have. The solution is like right in front of you. You don't have a real problem. Like, you know, your leg's falling off. So,
So, you know, tying like all that shit in, man, that's really where we're at in this whole stimulus, this economy. And then what I'm really concerned about is we're at a peak, right? If you go back
Yeah.
and look at all the major civilizations, the major empires,
right.
you know, I feel like we are at a peak,
Okay.
you know, and I would say in the next 50 to 100 years, there's going to be a transition.
Always is. Yeah.
Right.
That's safe to bet. Yeah.
And America has topped out. You said it. We're spending more than we're taking in,
We are.
which is horrible.
It's what we're doing now.
From a basic 101 financial
I'm
accounting class.
I'm trying to put a bow on it.
Now,
and just
from a
saying,
basic 101 accounting class.
everyone knows it's a bad idea.
Listen,
but it
man, I
keeps
talk
working.
to my accountant, man. They give me fucking P&Ls. We understand
If you
what
do
we
it,
do.
you
We
have a problem.
percentages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's the 33 rule. Like, you know, just,
What's the 33 rule?
no, you know, you got your 33%. Right, what you're spending, labor, cost, profit.
Oh,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? Like,
okay,
that's just
to make
like
a business. Okay, that's
you
like
know,
a restaurant
boom,
thing,
boom,
isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Well, it's just business, man. You
Yeah.
know, like that's just a simple. If you don't know what the fuck you're doing, at least stick to that
Okay.
and then improve. We're always trying to improve the margins,
Mhm.
always. And restaurants are the worst margins. You know, if you're making a few cents on the dollar, you know, 10 cents on the dollar, like that's good. Restaurants are tough, dude.
Oh yeah.
Still probably, you know, 1 out of every 5 businesses succeed, and within that 1 out of every 5
Restaurants are
succeed.
tough. I don't even know why people
And
do
we're this-
restaurants, man.
Dude, and we're in this whole COVID thing.
I know. I'm surprised
California,
I'm surprised
New York.
It's a testament to you that you've been gainfully employed throughout this whole thing
Dude,
in the restaurant
fucking-
business.
As much as they think he's a racist and whatever his bullshit is, but think our governor.
Kemp, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, look at
Keeping it
look
open.
at California.
Oh my
Look at
God.
fucking New
I am
York, dude.
I'm so glad that we are so
Look
free.
at California and New York.
I'm so thankful that we do have a governor we did, because if we would have had Abrams in there, she would have shut us down like all the other blue
Dude,
states. And it's already come down where you have the comparisons between Florida and California. California, which was locked the hell down.
At least
and
we had a
Florida,
chance to
which was
survive
off.
the bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
But
what
you
I
know what?
mean?
Here's the thing. There was no difference in the ones that were hard locked down and the ones that were lax. Texas lifted their mask mandate, did not see a spike. Cannot get a single one of these people that think that they need that the burqa, the mask, you know, is necessary to admit that they were wrong. But
Interesting
I
thought.
get it. People are afraid. It's an invisible thing. It triggers our fears. But you know, no one really knows like what the thing is, but people shouldn't trump themselves up like Buffalo. Oh, I am so right and correct in telling you that you have to wear this garment to cover your face because that is the true thing to do.
So
Otherwise, you're
against
killed.
our freedom, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
but you know what? You're a bad person for spending time with your family during this time. Do you know that? That is a horrible thing for you to do, and that's something we said in 2020. And in any other context, Orwell, man, he was just not creative enough.
listen, dude. I'm gonna leave it on this note. because we've finished this bottle of wine,
Mm.
and I think that's a great exit plan.
Actually, I got one more point. But go ahead and say yours. And I'll say
Get
mine.
your point out.
Okay.
Go for it.
Oh, on you. Okay.
And I'm gonna finish with a final thought.
Well, you talked about peaks. Okay, you talked about peaks, and I want to talk about troughs, the bottoms.
Mm-hmm.
I had an event happen to me basically the beginning of March. I mean, I had the YouTube channel like shut down.
Yeah.
I had like my strategy was working in 2020, just like everybody else, was not doing well in the first 2 months of the year. And on March the 5th, I was at like a low point emotionally,
And that's the
financially.
worst. Oh,
And-
yeah. That's
and you
what I
know-
love about trading. You find out who you really are.
Well,
So tell me, Wes, who you
So
are.
at the same time, when all this is going bad in life and in trading, I've been doing that research. I put out a video about sector rotation, and where I was talking about.
Please go watch that. That's
Yeah.
by far been one of my favorite videos you put out,
And
because I cannot. It's underrated how important that video is.
I mean, it's got probably more views than
It's a good
other
video,
ones.
Wes.
Well,
it's probably one of your better videos you've done.
and you know
outside of
what?
your
If,
rants.
if people listen to it, they make money. And so, basically, on that day, March the 5th, was a day where I actually executed on what I talked about in that video. Because even though I was like in a headspace of like, oh, like this isn't making money, this strategy is not making money. I'd done this research long. I mean, we've been studying this for
90%
years.
Research, 10% trading.
And so on that day, when Procter and Gamble and Johnson and Johnson pulled back to
Yep.
the
We had
level I was
pullbacks,
looking for,
yep.
I was in
Yes.
this headspace of like just, oh, woe is me. But you know what? Like in that worst of worst situations, I went ahead and I allocated capital to those stocks, and then I went on vacation. And so over the time I've been on vacation, over the time this month has transpired, a lot of good things have happened in my life and that kind of stuff, and made me very happy. But that's actually worked out. But what it really reinforced to me is what I already kind of knew. I relate everything in life to trading. Like when you're at that point of the lowest low and everything's wrong, that's actually the point of maximum opportunity.
Oh.
And so you got to maybe compart. Like I think men are a little bit better at this, at compartmentalizing like problems and things like that. So I was able to like say, okay, this is bad, but this I've been studying for a month. Let's go, and it worked out, and things came back from that. And so it's like, if you would have asked me on March the 5th, like, are things going to get better? I would have said like, no, it's just going to be bad. And that was I knew better than that. But you feel that way,
Yeah.
feelings. And so, but yeah, like you were talking about peaks, like the market is at a peak, and it's the exact opposite is true. Like I try myself to kind of like keep an even keel, and so not get too down, not get too up, because a lot of people, they fall victim to this, and that's what trading is about. That's why things make swing lows. That's why things make swing highs, is because of emotion, and that's reflected in price. And so my message to people: if you're having a bad month, if you're having a bad year, that could very well be your point of maximum opportunity.
Mm.
Okay, so I'll let you finish that.
No, I mean, that's great. I'll let you finish that because honestly, dude, you find out who you truly are when you're at your lowest, if you choose to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. In my humility, I am free. A lot of people don't understand that statement. But if you do understand that statement, you can really realize the opportunity that you have because of what you're just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's in those low points where we feel insecure, we don't feel happy. If you embrace that humility, you can really become free. When everything's good, going great, all that great stuff, you don't think about that stuff. When you're at the lowest point and you're struggling, you're really evaluating everything in your life, and you're trying to figure out that accountability part. Who do you blame? You're blaming everybody. That's the easiest part. You point all the fingers. The truth is, you're the only person that really can get you out of that. And that's what I love about trading, because you can't blame nobody else.
Mm-mm.
You can't.
Some people try, though. Some people say, like,
They know where my stops are at. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, come on, man. Yeah, seriously.
you control your exposure.
Come
You can't control what the market does, but you control your participation.
And that's just such a reflection psychology-wise of who you are in life, right? Because that means you're also doing that with your wife. You're doing that with your kids, whoever, your coworkers, all this stuff. You're reflecting it on everybody else. But in your own humility, you embrace that and you go, yeah, man, I fucked up. Okay, cool. I got nowhere else to go from here. I've been in two low points in my life that really changed my life. A prison bed in a hospital bed.
Those are some low points.
Yeah. And those 2 points were very close enough in my life that it changed my life, where you always talk about how optimistic I am. I was like, yeah, dude, there was a point where it just, like, the curve turned, you know, and it's not about me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you take yourself out of it and you start moving forward. And that's why I like trading too, because it helps check that balance and reminding me of, like, never to get back to that point of that hospital bed or that jail bed,
Mm-hmm.
mentality wise, right? You know, and I don't want to revisit any of those physically, but also the mentally. And then just, if anybody can take away from all this, is just you there's a point where you just have to fucking suck it up and realize it's you, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Look yourself in the fucking mirror and be honest with yourself, man.
Mm-hmm.
And own that shit. Whatever job you're doing, forget trading. Just in life, man. Just fucking be real with yourself.
Own it. Yeah.
Own it, man.
Yeah, radical ownership.
And in this era that we're in right now, where there's lack of accountability, even the political climate, all that stuff, you know, you're looking at all our peers, these politicians, these bankers, nobody's taking responsibility or accountability. I mean, the game is on us. There's a reason why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. There's a point where the poor people got to start fucking holding these guys accountable. We got to figure it out, man.
Mm.
You know, not to get all crazy on this shit, but true, man. Like,
Get crazy.
yeah, but I'm just saying, it goes back to the whole inflation thing. It's like, you know, it's the answer is not to raise minimum wage. The answer is to go to those fucking bankers and financial institutions and say, stop fucking printing money, dude.
I've been saying that for a while, man, but I don't think they listen to me.
It's never a political conversation. It's always distracted by other things, you know, and we are easily...
Exactly. Somebody's tweets are more important than the price of milk.
Well, we also got a lot of wounds to heal in America, you know, and I hope we get past that point where we can really get down to the bottom line and make everybody truly equal in opportunity of getting that equal opportunity, you know. At the same time, there's a lot of accountability we all got to answer for. We all, individually as a human being, have got to really answer some of our own questions in all the debates, because it's not from, you know, hashtag me too to men too, you know, like, it's just, all these things have been topics over the years, man. It's just like, we are accountable, man.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do the Michael.
You throw a wicked. Anyway, Wes.
Yeah, man.
We are officially out. No more.
I think we got a swallow left. So cheers to get another podcast. All right.
I'm back at it.
See you guys later.
Sorry we took a month off, guys. Peace.